Good day, this is the latest weather update here in the tropics. Right now we continue to watch Tropical Storm Roke as it moves towards Okinawa. And also we're watching this newly formed tropical storm, actually just upgraded to a tropical depression, former 19W now, Tropical Storm Sonca. Again, well northeast of Micronesia this time. This is the September 15, 2011, 0730 Zulu, 3:30 p.m. Philippine time, 4:30 p.m. Japan time. Let's start with Tropical Storm Roke, now just over 350 kilometers east of Okinawa. Maximum sustained winds still around 65, gusting to 90 kph. Roke is moving west-northwestward at 20 kilometers per hour. You can see now in this visible image, you can see as it approaches Okinawa right here, and also Daitojima or Daito Islands, just south of the low-level circulation center. So you look at this wider view of the visible image, you can see the storm actually kind of improved in terms of its structure, kind of consolidated much better throughout last night. And you can see the low-level circulation center is no longer exposed. It's still partially exposed, but not as fully exposed as you might remember when we did our video yesterday. And as I said, it is now making its way near Okinawa and also here in Daito Islands. The cloud formation might look great, but the convective activity is still very poor, just fragmented and paltry convective activity going on here. But still, the point I'm making is now the convection looks to be building now over the center, which could lead to further intensification down the road. And another view I'm going to show is the microwave image taken from the satellite here, roughly 4 hours ago. This is the recent one that we have. You can see the activity remaining still to the north of the center, but you can see here in the lower levels of the storm, you can see this improving structure here, and you can see the circulation and banding now beginning to occur within the storm. And as I said, the wind, as I've mentioned actually yesterday, the wind radii of this storm is actually very huge. You can see those strong winds of around 30 knots extending well away from the center, actually reaching southern Kyushu. And you can also see those strong winds now beginning to make their way through Amami, Oshima, and also here in Okinawa. Last time I checked, actually from JMA, winds are now 20 to 40 kilometers, and we expect that to continue increasing throughout today and into tomorrow as Roke approaches from the east. And another risk is, aside from the winds, is the rain. We don't really see those well-developed rain bands that we normally see from typhoons or storms, but we still do have these bands, some moderate to heavy rain actually now beginning to affect Daito Islands, and also so those bands now approaching Okinawa and Amami. And this is another view here just north, and you can also see those embedded thunderstorms there. It could produce brief downpours, but the main batch of those rain and under that convective activity associated with the center is still well offshore of the Okinawa Islands there. Now, in terms of the forecast for intensification, you can see in this latest wind shear map, Roke is right over here. See, it's around 5 to 10 knots of wind shear, so dramatically weakened over the past 36 hours, which helped the storm to consolidate much better now. And we still have some dry air entrainment and subsidence to the northwest, still hindering the intensification of the storm. But in terms of the forecast from computer models, you can see the cluster and the consensus just taking it middle tropical storm strength around 50 knots or so. And the rate of intensification is actually not that fast when you think about the timeline of this one. But you can also see some models trying to bring it actually towards typhoon status by early next week. So we'll have to watch this developments. In terms of the track, Again, computer models really good agreements will track towards Okinawa, but then after that they vary and then show wide array of solutions for the eventual track of Roke. You can see the main scenario here is you can see the subtropical ridge, which is steering Roke to the west. A trough moving in from eastern China will weaken and will weaken this ridge, causing it to move or reorient itself towards the northeast, allowing a weakness with the steering currents here in the East China Sea. At the same time, a ridge here in eastern China is forecast to build, which could, due to that clockwise flow of steering ridge, that could influence Roke to deflect southwestward. And then again, with the competing influences of these two ridges by let's say middle of next week, computer models are really having a hard time determining the eventual track of Roke. But in terms of consensus, you can see doesn't really tell us anything here. I mean, most models do take it southwestward, but then after that you can see your GFS actually making a loop around Okinawa before taking Roke to the southern Japan area, to southern Honshu there. And another model we're looking at is the Euro model, or ECMWF. You can see by Tuesday next week, actually the Euro also showing the same thing, tracking just north of Okinawa and then turning southwestward. And now, as you can see, by Tuesday it's still near the Okinawa Islands as a tropical storm. And then as we play that forecast now, by Wednesday, September 21st, it begins to move to the northeast now, and also strengthening along the way. And by Thursday, actually, you can see ECMWF, the Euro, actually forecasting Roke to become a typhoon by late next week, and also bringing Roke towards either Shikoku, Kyushu, or here in mainland Japan. And in terms of confidence here, don't really want to give too much weight on this one yet, but the important thing is we have to watch the consistency of the forecast among computer models, and particularly here with the Euro model, and which has been performing well the past few years in terms of tropical storm forecasting. And in terms of the forecasting agencies, again also showing GTWC also showing a southwestward deflection, and then a very slow movement. You can see slowing down significantly by Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and actually JTWC bringing this directly across Okinawa, across Kadena here. In terms of intensity, peak intensity just around 55 knots. GTWC not really expecting much of a significant intensification for the next 2 days, which is good news for Okinawa. We won't see that much of very strong winds, but heavy rain definitely be a factor here. JMA also agreeing sort of with JTWC and the computer models here, taking a southwestward turn across East China Sea by next week, just taking Roke just north of Okinawa by Sunday there. JMA in terms of intensity also forecasting a slow intensification for Roke, and not really expecting typhoon intensity either. However, remember that this only goes up to 5 days. Euro, which goes up actually to 10 days, forecasting a typhoon as it reaches near Kyushu by late next week. So we do have to keep watching. So in terms of environment, again, the low wind shear and also high ocean heat content around this area could fuel further intensification as long as the subsidence moves away, and as it meanders here across the East China Sea. Do expect some intensification for Roke. Now moving on to the other storm we're watching, we have Tropical Storm Sonca. I mentioned just upgraded to a storm from a tropical depression. See the location well away from Micronesia and 1,250 kilometers northeast. Maximum sustained winds now around 65, gusting to 90 kph, and Sonca moving northwestward at around 10 kilometers per hour. See the wider view here, the visible image. See those circulation Also significant improvement throughout the night, last night, for 19W or Sonca here, and you can see the circulation here very apparent as well, and also the microwave image. Actually, this is around 6 hours ago, so a bit old now, but still gives you an idea on the convective activity and the structure going on around the storm. The circulation is right over here, and you can see those banding beginning to wrap around nicely over the low-level circulation center. However, over the past 6 hours, you've actually seen some warming, significant warming in the cloud tops. You can see this dark blue colors here indicating the cloud tops and the temperature, how high that cloud is. Right now we're seeing just around negative 40 to negative 50 degrees. Earlier it was actually around negative 70 degrees, so we have seen some significant warming, and perhaps feeling the effects of, again, the dry air. You can see here, it's actually, this is the water vapor imaging. You can see those dry air and subsidence also affecting and hindering the storm to the northwest. You can see the outflow, well-established poleward outflow in the storm, which is aiding the intensification process. But right now, don't really think this intensification will likely continue at a rapid pace. But we will see. I mean, forecasting models and agencies do take it as a strong tropical storm by this weekend. Now, in terms of the track for Sonca, and it's moving northward towards this weakness, this ridge, and as I mentioned earlier, with this ridge right over here, this is forecast to move eastward, which will act as a blocking mechanism for Sonca for the time being, which will steer this temporarily to the west-northwest. However, the good news is for Japan is that this will likely recurve away from Honshu, away from mainland Japan, and away into the North Pacific Ocean by the middle of next week. So, and forecasting agencies again showing you this from GTWC, also showing that recurvature occurring sometime next week, and again away from Japan, and very distance is far away enough to not really cause any sort of trouble across the metropolis here, particularly Tokyo. In terms of intensity, you can see JTWC forecasting a peak intensity of just around 45 knots, so not really expecting this to intensify much further now. JMA also showing that recurvature away from Japan, so good news for Japan. However, remember that by this time frame, by early next week, we could be watching Roke approaching somewhere around here in Kyushu, so we do have to keep an eye on Roke for Japan, and not only for Okinawa, not only for southern Japan, but also and for mainland Japan. But in terms of specifics, we can't really tell you anything yet. We do expect forecast to continue to change day by day. We won't really get a handle on this, and due to the upper air environment still being complicated, and the computer models having difficulty handling those. And before we end this video, I just want to briefly mention Invest 95W here again, still remaining just north of Luzon. You can see Luzon right over here. It's actually elongated right now, and we still have some convective activity here, but it is mostly associated now with the feeder bands for Roke. Right over here, you can see the cloud formation here, right over the edge of this image, and this could influence 95W models. Not really forecasting this to develop much. GTWC still rating this as a low chance for development. Nevertheless, expect this to bring rain showers across extreme northern Luzon and also Batanes. Also here southeastern Taiwan, around 100 millimeters of rainfall amount likely within the next 24 hours. So just be mindful of that threat. So that's the update for today, everybody. Again, for Okinawa, stay safe out there. Just be careful, and always tune in right here for the latest updates as it moves across Japan there. So until my next update, stay safe out there.